Taking a trip to Dreamtown.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of PT3600, where you can listen to 3,600 seconds of one topic that the PT crew will talk about. In this episode, we are talking about dreams. And
Wait, why'd you say it like that?
have you ever seen Blue Mountain State?
No,
Oh,
man.
I don't know what that is.
Right
you
on,
did
Randall.
yourself a disservice right there. It was on Spike TV. It's on Netflix, I think, for a while.
Yeah, it still is.
It's a good show. If you like college comedies, it's like that
Oh, okay.
for like 4 seasons. it's really good.
It's fantastic.
It's really good. Anyway, we were talking about dreams, and we will be, I guess, things that and slash meditation, because the reason why we're bringing meditation up, we won't go too detail right now, but when we were coming up with this topic, there was almost a discussion that happened right there and then. So
Yes.
because when that situation happens, then I will let Ashton take over to ask the questions, because Josh, who I have not introduced at all of any of these people, my name is Ryan. Joining me is
Josh
and
Ashton.
and this is PT3600. So anyway, let's get into it. This wasn't really a topic that I came up with. This was a topic that you two came up with. So I'll just kind of go along with the ride, and then if you need me to fill in gaps, then I will. I'll insert myself into your gap.
That's a little edgy for a podcast, Ryan.
I mean,
It's an explicit podcast.
We're gonna be
Ashton.
realigning chakras, but I don't know about that.
Save your,
I'll realign your chakra.
save your pillow talk for the bedroom.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's a different topic.
So what do you guys want to talk about?
I don't know. We could maybe talk about what dreams are compared to meditation. You know, because you like to meditate, and I have very, very lucid, vivid dreams.
yeah, I wish
Oh,
I
thought you
could.
were
I
gonna
wish
say
I could lucid dream
I am
more.
very, very loose. That's what I thought.
That's
Are,
you.
are we sure we're talking about dreams on this podcast? I don't know.
I've had some dreams.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know. So I guess like maybe you could explain. I guess I'll go ahead and explain like brief summary of what I believe like a dream is. You know, dream. You know,
Oh,
you
okay.
go to bed, or you know you can do it while you're awake in class, not paying attention. You know, you just space out and you just imagine
listening to
whatever.
music,
Yeah.
Yeah.
things like that.
And then, you know, when you're asleep, you end up kind of, at least my experiences are mainly like mini stories.
Mhm.
According to research, I believe we have like between 6 and 8 dreams a night.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just time like slows
Because-
down in our dreams, so it
Yeah.
seems like it's so much longer.
So it's, you go through like different cycles in your sleep, and REM sleep, rapid eye movement. Sleep is where you have those dreams, and I believe we go through it quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So going through your own little world, that's kind of what I see as dreaming. Now, what can you explain to everybody is meditation?
Oh, okay. So meditation is different from dreams, I guess. In a way, so basically when you meditate, it's like as if you were, I guess, for lack of a better term, purposely trying to go into like a dream state or a trance state where you're conscious of what you're doing, but you're like kind of in your own mind, or if you're possibly trying to do out-of-body experience like outside of your body in a spiritual sense. So like you're conscious of everything that you're doing, and you know it's not real, but you're in a state whereas if you were asleep and maybe possibly lucid dreaming. And then in turn, when meditating, a lot of the time too, it has to do with like chakra realignment, or like essentially like kind of cleaning out the basement or the attic, if you will, you know, where you're going in there trying to find like what's making you feel the way you feel, and essentially abolishing that from your spiritual oneness, I suppose.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like spring cleaning for your brain.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, that, well, you're like your brain, your mind, your soul, your body, like all the above, because especially when it comes to chakra realignment, which is my favorite like method of meditation. Essentially, you have 7 chakra zones from your head to your tail, for lack of a better term.
Is that like your
But-
penis?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. So because there's like a base chakra, which is like when you sit down, that one's what like chakra you're sitting on, and then there is one that's for like your sexual health. There's one for your digestive health. There's one for your heart health. One for your mind, and then one for your I think like your center or something like that. Like you're happy. I don't remember all of them, but the one on the top essentially is like your spiritual like being, and so that kind of like makes you one with the universe. But usually when I meditate, I focus on realigning those chakras and getting rid of the negative energy that surrounds them, and then in turn, when they are realigned, you are like just a much more complete person. You typically are more happy and
Just feel better.
It's like how you said, it's like spring cleaning. So you just kind of get rid of all the negative thoughts and stuff. And usually how you get into meditation or self-hypnosis for that matter, because I use a lot of self-hypnosis also. It's a lot of like breathing and a lot of like self-reflective kind of states. Like you have to know what you're looking for and like what you're trying to accomplish, and you have to be willing to basically go to some dark places in your own mind in order to accomplish that. Yeah, it's kind of a trip sometimes, because there have been a number of times where I've meditated before, and I mean, I'm not afraid to admit this, but it sounds kind of lame, but I've actually cried while meditating before because of how it's made me feel. And it's,
Oh wow, it's pretty powerful stuff.
yeah, dude, it's amazing. Like the times that I find when I need to meditate are usually when like say if I go through a breakup, or if I'm having money troubles, if I'm stressed out about work, if I'm having family issues, anytime that a major event like that will cause like undue stress on my life, typically I have to stop and meditate or do some sort of breathing exercise. Or even if I can't meditate completely, I'll still try to do like some kind of Zen thing of some sort in order
Now,
to
how do you go about doing that? Like, do you just go in your room, shut the lights off, and like sit on your
okay.
bed and do it, or like how do you?
Okay, so
Do you lay down, or do you actually sit like the stereotypical like
okay. So
everyone
I
thinks
don't
of meditation?
Yeah, I can't do the cross leg thing. I'm starting to get too old to be able to do that. But
Okay, crisscross
but,
applesauce.
Yeah, like it hurts my knees. But typically, what I do is I'll
Boo.
usually I'll just sit on the couch and I'll just get really comfortable. Sometimes I'll lay down, but I run the risk of falling asleep if I lay down, because sometimes I'll be tired enough to where when I kind of start going into the trance state, I'll kind of doze off too. But if I sit up, I'm usually alert, and so
So to meditate, you need to be alert.
yes, yeah, you don't want
So
to
like
do
you
it.
can still hear outside. Okay.
So do you basically just space out and then wait for it to kind of happen?
No. You have to. So that's where the breathing comes in. So like the first thing you need to start doing is like you clear your thoughts, right, and don't think about anything specific. Which a lot of people find that step alone is hard to get past. A lot of people have a really hard time clearing their mind. But once you get to the point where you can kind of clear your thoughts, you're not really thinking of anything, you start focusing on your breathing, and then you breathe in, you hold it for a second, you breathe out. And a lot of the times, like I'll use like online on YouTube, there'll be people who will start, like they'll be going through the trance like start, they'll be like breathe in, hold, now breathe out through your nose or whatever, and they're kind of going through it with you, which I find helps. But I don't use those like every single time, but especially when I was first starting out, like they really, really helped, because they helped me essentially kind of get that routine of how I wanted to do the breathing exercises.
So let's say you walked into your house today and you're like, I'm going to meditate today. What would be like, I guess, the steps you would do? Like step
okay.
1, what are you doing? Step 2.
Okay, so I would, well, I guess depending on if I needed to take care of any, like if I was hungry or any of that kind of stuff, you want to take care of that. Make sure you're like feeling comfortable. Make sure you go to the bathroom, all that stuff, because you don't want to get distracted by that kind of thing. Once I'm all good with all that kind of stuff, usually I would sit on the couch. I would put a pillow behind my head. And then I would put in my headphones to start these breathing exercises. Sometimes I would listen to music like you hear at like a massage parlor or something,
yeah.
like ambient music. That really helps too, because there's some ambient music that has like delta waves, alpha waves, beta waves, all that kind of stuff that helps with different aspects of your mind also, because like delta waves help with like studying, I think. Alpha waves, I think, help with sleep, or that might be vice versa. I can't remember, but but sometimes I'll listen to music. Sometimes I'll listen to people who instruct you through the breathing exercise. As you clear your thoughts, you start focusing on your breathing. And then as you focus on your breathing, that's when you start entering trance state, because you're so focused on your breathing that you're not recognizing anything else. But if you need to come out of trance state, you're still conscious. So if like you hear an alarm go off or somebody knocks at the door, because I've been interrupted before while meditating too. I'd be right in the middle of a meditation out in God knows where, and then all of a sudden I hear knock, knock, knock on my door, and it just snaps me right out of it. And I'm just like, what the hell, dude? Like, or like a dog will bark or something, and
Yeah,
I'll be wide awake right out of it. It's really easy to come out of, once you start getting enough practice. It's the slowing down, focusing on your breathing, and then like clearing your mind. And once you clear your mind and focus on your breathing, and you just kind of let your mind like relax and do its own thing, then you start going into your trance state, and then you can start like thinking thoughts, and then you start clearing your head and of like the negative energy and things like that. If you're listening to a tape that helps you, like the chakra rebalancing, those I usually listen to because I need help with that, because I don't know all the chakras by heart. But they'll go through each individual one, and they'll be like, focus on like that light, and you can see all the negative energy around it. Now, like, use your goodwill to rid that energy out of your body. Feel your breath as you breathe out that negative energy, and feel you breathing in positive energy and positive vibes. And as you're doing it, like, you can feel it, and so that, like, when I've rebalanced my chakras before, that shit hits heavy. Like, it's pretty deep stuff, man. But
so, I mean, the whole topic is dreams. So, like, do you ever experience something kind of along those lines while you're in
Do you
that
have any
meditation state?
visual experience?
Yeah, can you like? Does your brain start to visualize
yeah.
actual images for you?
Well, for the chakra stuff, I can clearly see what they're talking about, because they're talking about like as you basically, it's like when they describe you realigning your chakras, it's like you coming out of your body, and you can like see the orbs, I guess, in your body. So I've had that as a vision, I guess, in a way. There was one time where, and I guess I would classify it as my enlightenment, because it's kind of what helped me understand life. But there was one time where I thought I was part of a machine. And so it was like I thought I was part. Okay, it's really hard to explain, but okay. So imagine before you a cog with 9 gear teeth on it,
Okay.
and they're kind of saw shaped, I guess. They're kind of like rounded off. Behind that is another one where the teeth are interspersed into the spaces, okay? And inside of that was an eye in the middle of that. And I'm part of this like weird machine. It's as the gears are turning, I'm turning with it, and I'm like part of it. And then I'm seeing on the wheel, it says, which is really funny because it sounds kind of bad. Every time I tell this to somebody, they're like, that doesn't sound good at all. But to me, it made perfect sense at the time when I was doing it. But it said, the greatest joke in life is that it just keeps going. And it made me think, like, I mean, that's right. Because, like, no matter what we do, no matter who we are, like, we're eventually all going to die, right? And I'm not looking at this in like a morbid perspective, like, oh, we're all going to die, but like, we are. That's the one thing that connects humankind. We're all going to, that's what the one thing that connects life.
Yeah,
is
all living
death.
beings will come to an end at some point.
Everything dies. And so, but life just keeps going, and you might be more famous than the next person. You might be remembered for a day. You might be remembered for 100 years, but either way, it all just keeps going. And so, I was having this experience, and it was as if I was like being kind of born again as a different person. But then when I was having that experience, that's what made me think, like, well, what about the people who I'm leaving behind? Like I know it keeps going, but I don't want to leave those people behind yet. And so I don't think I was like dying or anything, but it was as if my consciousness, or like my soul at the time, was being like, yeah, you can move on to a new body if you want to, or whatnot, and life will go on. But then I'm thinking in my head, like, what about all like my family and my friends and stuff? I don't want to leave them behind yet. And so that's kind of what snapped me out of it. And then I kind of came back too, because I was worried about like leaving people behind. And so I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure what was kind of going on. That's kind of when I was kind of like getting a little eerie and stuff. And that's why I say when I try to do out of body experience stuff, it's kind of hit and miss because sometimes it kind of freaks you out, because there's
That's
been,
awesome.
yeah, there's been a few stories that I've read about other people who used to do astral projection, and they could leave their bodies and wander like miles, if not even farther than that. And there's like a tether that goes to your body, but from what I've read, people also see other, like they're not spirits per se, but they're like these entities that live in that realm. There's like these black entities
Didn't
or
Beyond
something.
Two Souls like deal with that kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah. I guess it'd be kind of in that vein,
Yeah.
kind of like what Aiden was. And so it's like he wasn't quite dead, but he was still a spirit.
Because that's her. Spoiler for the people that haven't played Beyond Two Souls, and we did play it on the channel, but hey, you know what? We're probably not going to go back to it. But anyway, Aiden is Jody's brother
Yeah.
that died in the womb, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
But-
like, yeah, it was
But
her
it's
twin.
still connected to her by spirit,
Yes.
and so that's like how
how
I'm
they're
trying to
tethered
relate
together.
this
Yeah.
as what Josh is talking about. So
Yeah, and so essentially from what I've read, once you reach to the point where you can astral project like on a pretty like regular basis, you're apparently tethered to your body in a similar manner, but you have to be careful because if you don't return to your body within a certain amount of time, or if you go too far, you can possibly break the tether. And
like Insidious.
I guess I don't, is that a movie? That's
yeah,
a movie,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So in the Insidious, they like go off. It's more of on a spiritual level, so it's more of aiming towards like probably the Christian view of it, but with also this kind of idea of that there are these other beings that have lost their way, like they're lost in this limbo, and it's just all darkness.
Okay.
But one of them tries to go. So the dad tries to go find the son, and as he's trying to do that, he has to be careful because if he goes too far, or if he's gone for too long, someone else can find his body and take over his body. So,
yeah, it's kind of like that, but I don't know about the taking over
the
body
taking over
part.
thing, yeah.
That's
more of
happen.
a demonic sort of thing.
Who knows? I don't
Yeah.
know if those are demons, if they're spirits, what they are, but this is only stuff that I've read because I've never reached this level of astral projection because I'm always kind of weary about doing something like that. I have tried to astral project and I've gotten to the point where I can see myself, but I haven't gone too much farther than that. Like it's as if I stood up, turned around, and like could see me sitting on the couch meditating. But other than that, I've never gone any farther. I didn't want to like leave my apartment. I didn't want to, because there was one time too where I was laying down and I was like hovering above myself. Like
kind of like in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's like a couple. Yeah, I was just like a couple feet, and I was like, dude, this is really weird. That was the very first time I actually successfully like got an out of body experience, and then and then the other time was when I stood up, and I think and then there was the one that I just told you about, and I think there might have been one other time, and I pretty much haven't done it since that because I was really heavy into it for a little while, and I was meditating every day for like a couple months. I was trying to astral project all the time, doing chakra stuff, and I'm kind of one of those people. I don't really go to doctors. I'm more of a holistic medicine kind of guy, so I tend to do a lot more of that kind of stuff, like realigning my chi and stuff like that. And I'm more about the cosmic universe and like putting out positive vibes and receiving positive vibes and things like that. So that typically is my kind of outlook on all that stuff. So I find it helps me the most. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but
hey, find your own thing.
To each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that you can picture yourself, or whether that is you actually doing it. But it's kind of interesting to hear. That is sort of like a dream state that you're kind of in.
Yeah.
And you're just like being one at that point. Like that's the whole point, right?
Right.
It's trying to be one with yourself, understanding yourself at that current moment in time, right?
Yeah, and then in turn, that's what like kind of connects you to the universe, because then once you understand yourself, you can understand everything else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What about you, Ashton? What do you have any questions about meditation before we move on from it?
He pretty much covered it.
Okay.
I was very curious about the topic. Good thing we cut it short when we did, when we were talking about it originally. Instead of the
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
because we could have gone on for a very long time.
Yeah.
But for me, my experiences happen. They're dreams. Now, I
Dreams.
have all different types of dreams. All of them are very vivid. I've had them since probably since I was around 4 years old. Was my first one that I actually remember.
Wow.
Where I was living in these apartments, and this would have been 1999. So I was living in these apartments, and I was walking around in this dream around my apartment complex. I remember the sky being purple, and I remember there being like zombies everywhere with like glowing eyes. They were really slow, and they were trying to get me. And I was like running around like, oh my god! And I was screaming for my mom. And the dream ended as I was coming up to like a massive horde of zombies, and I hear this big crash. Not necessarily a crash. I just hear kind of like it sounded more like a car accident, maybe,
Yeah, like
or like something like
glass
hit a
breaking or
dumpster,
something.
like
Oh,
something
okay.
crashed into a dumpster. I didn't hear like glass or anything. And I turn around, and there's a big shadow that comes over me, and it's a fucking skyscraper uh, falling on me. And then
Oh,
when it hits me, I woke up. That was
damn.
my first ever dream. That was a vivid dream that I've ever had.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. And I told my uncle, because he was staying the night, because we're only a couple years apart, my uncle and I.
Oh, that's
And
like me and my nieces.
yeah. So he ended up making fun of me in front of all my friends when I told him about it.
Oh,
I was like, whatever, man, whatever. And then, a couple years down the road, I didn't really have a whole lot of them.
Friends, that is.
Wow.
Ew.
Wow, damn. Shots fired. Huh, friendly fire. Damn, that sucks.
He threw off his whole groove.
Oh
there.
yeah, I get shit on like 90% of the time, but the one time I'm like, bam! I get I'm the asshole of the situation.
I mean, are you not, though? I mean,
Anyway,
but basically, I have these dreams off and on, whatever. And it didn't happen till high school that I heard about what lucid dreaming is, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where you take like control of parts of your dream or whatever. Some people see
I
like
wish
the
I could do
same
that.
symbol, or like they see like a red ball bouncing, and they're like, "Oh, that's my cue. Like I can do whatever I want in this dream." So basically, what I ended up doing, and this was started doing this junior year of high school. What they make you do is they have you think about like kind of like prepping yourself before you fall asleep. Like, all right, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be no big deal, and you just go for it. And it's a lot easier for people who already have vivid dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you try and but everyone's problem is that they get wrapped up in whatever dream that they're in, and they just are along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really have control over anything, not even themselves. And they're just kind of looking through someone's eyes and go
Yeah.
through it. Now, lucid dreaming, the first step is gaining control over yourself and doing what you're doing with the story that's being told in front of you. And basically, to get yourself to that point, you have to start training your mind to remember these dreams, because a lot of people don't remember their dreams.
Oh yeah.
So when you wake up, you log them down like not to sound, too cheesy, but a dream journal, you kind of,
It sounds like the fourth Nightmare Before or Nightmare on Elm Street.
yeah, dude, it's you write it down, and then you kind of just train your mind to be able to revisit that place whenever, it's an extension
like
of
it
your
becomes-
imagination. So
It's like it becomes a series, like
yes,
or
So-
continuity of some sort.
which after that point where you're able to control yourself, that's when you start working on controlling the environment around you, controlling everything.
That's so cool.
Creating your own story. Now, I did get to that point about 3 times. Now, the first time, sorry, that's my phone. The first time I ever did it, and I'll never forget it because it was so insane. I started the dream off, and I'm just walking around this office, and I have to do all this paperwork. And I'm like, dude, this dream fucking blows. This is terrible. Why am I thinking about this? I was like, you know what? Screw this. I was like, I'm gonna try this out. And this is the first time that I ever thought, you know what? I don't want to see this. Let's go do our own thing. And just the whole thing just melted. Like it was a weird thing. It like melted in front of me, and there was a big white flash. And then I was riding a fucking dragon, man.
Cool.
It was great. And I was going through like these cliffs and canyons and like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Go Falcor!
Yeah, dude.
Peter, you're too heavy.
But I started going through like this canyon, and it turned into kind of like this big tunnel, and it was super bright in there. It was just like a rainbow of colors. It was like super psychedelic.
Cool.
And it just came out and just would fly around.
And
And I did that. I did that for what felt like 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 hours in dream
And it was
time,
probably
man.
like 3 seconds.
Yeah, probably. But after that point, I've always been able to control myself, but I choose to kind of go with the story and see where it ends.
Nice.
So I have a lot of cool stories about it. But Ryan, do you have any dreams that you can remember?
I guess like a lot of my stuff is just like I'll usually kind of just lay there and then like I start thinking of movie ideas, and then I guess so maybe I do kind of dream a little bit. Like I then will put people that I know personally like in the movie, and so then it like plays itself out. Like I've come up with a few. To be honest, I can't think of anything that I've came up with in the last like day and a half or so. But like but that's kind of how I work with it. Is just kind of like this movie or this show, maybe like shows that I've seen kind of influence it, or games that I play or music I listen to. Like it will kind of trigger those sort of things. Or like at work, there's some moments where at the end of the job that I currently do, I can like plug in headphones and just listen. So like I'll listen to like some EDM music or like or just music in general, and then I'll kind of like picture maybe like a music video that goes along with it. And it always doesn't like involve me per se, but it's like, you know, I can see maybe like, oh, it'd be so cool if like this is like road trip sort of thing. So they're like doing this and that, and I'm like zoned out
You're
completely.
kind of like a daydreamer.
Yeah, I
Daydreaming's
totally
great.
do that. And
I used to do that in school all the time.
yeah, because it's like that's when I can like come up with ideas of things. And so like yeah, a lot of I guess my dreams would be more towards that. There's also some times that maybe I'll be like way too stressed out, so I can't stop thinking about a specific thing, but I don't think at that point I'm asleep. I'm just kind of laying there and just dealing with it.
Yeah, that prevents me from going to
Yeah,
sleep.
I can't really like, or if I'm excited, like, you know, during like a PAX trip, like PAX is like the next day, I'll be like, oh, I'm totally gonna like go to sleep early, and then I'm like thinking about it constantly, like, oh shit, like when we get there, what are we doing? Like, where do we gotta go? I know that
kinda
this is that and the
stressful.
other deal, and so
Yeah.
like then, and that's just PAX alone, or like when I'm going on a trip in general, like when I'm going to Disneyland and I'm trying to figure out like, oh, I want to do this and that, or like this last Disney trip was really stressful, and because it was like I was constantly thinking in my mind and dreaming like, how am I going to do this? Am I going to like do this and that and the other deal of like go to Fantasyland, go loop around and whatnot? So it's like, I guess like stress takes over my thought process of sleeping, and also like, you know, I'll just have like, I'll know what I want to. Who's like
That's Josh.
Oh, sorry. What am I doing?
Your nose is breathing into the mic.
Oh, my bad. I didn't realize. Sorry.
And then he was dreaming.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of zoning out on the computer or whatever, because I was watching
the sound waves.
Yeah, I was just kind of watching it go up and down as you were
Yeah,
talking. So I guess I did kind of start daydreaming a little bit.
But yeah, like so. Yeah, I'll usually just like think of. I guess what my world kind of revolves around is more of towards the people I know, I guess. So like, you know, situations I'm dealing with that, and that's kind of what my dream sequences usually are about.
Awesome. Do you have like a favorite dream or?
I can't remember like some of them. I know that like Bonfire spawned off of a dream. Like that was just more of I was thinking about, like, I was watching all the Friday the 13th movies, and like I was playing Until Dawn at the time as well, or watching someone play Until Dawn at the time, and then it just kind of mushed together, and then I was like, then I had the dream of Bonfire, and which is now I'm just realizing that it's a project that I haven't even mentioned on a podcast
Yeah,
before.
that's how.
We'll bleep that part out. The title of that is whatever it is. We'll bleep that part. But I was doing all of those other things. I'll leave that in. And that kind of melded together to me wanting to put the people that I wanted originally in there. They were in the dreams, so I was like, oh, it'd be cool if like all those people were like, look, we made this a reality. And then it just hasn't happened because it's a big production that would have to come into effect. So, but yeah, there's some ideas. Primal Target was one of them, and like things like that. So ideas that I've kind of thought and dreamed about. So
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, it's Do you guys remember? No, Josh, you said you meditate. Do you also dream?
Every once in a while. I don't dream that often, but
you're
I'm
more of a daydreamer like me.
I daydream quite a bit, but like when I sleep, I don't sleep very well. I don't reach REM sleep quite a bit. I'm a pretty light sleeper, so everything wakes me up. I hear a sound, I wake up. So on those rare occasions where I do fall asleep deep enough to dream, I usually have very vivid dreams, but it's like once in a great while.
Ah.
There are a couple that I do remember specifically, though. One of them was when I was like, God, maybe 8 or 9, and I remember laying in bed. Well, I guess I was in bed, but I don't remember laying in bed. But what I do remember in the dream, so I was running right on this cliff, and so for some reason it was like this place that you could go to visit, like the Grand Canyon, but it was these cliffs that were these giant pillars that were just one after the other after the other. They were all lined up like round bricks, like if you're walking up a pathway or something. So I was jumping from cliff to cliff, and as you jump, they get farther and farther apart. So I guess I was just trying to jump them, and then I missed one and basically fell to my death. But I woke up right when I hit because I had fallen out of bed. so I guess I was like moving around while I was in bed while I was trying to
You
jump.
like that dog in that one video where he's just like running and then obviously gets up, runs
Yes,
into the wall.
yeah.
And, like
So I can imagine I was dreaming vivid enough to the point where I was doing what I thought I was doing in the dream, and then I rolled out of bed or jumped off the bed and landed on the ground and stuff. But yeah, there's been a couple dreams. I've had a handful of nightmares that seem pretty vivid. I remember when I
have nightmares probably more than dreams.
Yeah, because there's been a couple times where I've had some pretty crazy nightmares. After I watched that movie Candyman, I had a pretty vivid nightmare, and
Really?
yeah, dude, that's like the only movie that's ever given
That's
me nightmares.
strange. I mean,
Dogs are usually
nightmares to me are they're different. I guess I classify dreams and nightmares a little differently. Because for me, like, nightmares are something that I'm afraid of happening. Now, if dreams, like
Same.
something crazy cool happening, even if it's like I love being scared.
No, I usually
Oh,
die.
okay, I see
It's
what you're
me
saying.
dying is usually what
So,
happens in my
yeah,
nightmares.
So, like if a plane crashed, that would be more of a nightmare as opposed to like a crazy killer with a
Maybe,
hook hand
but
or
I don't
something.
allow myself to die in dreams anymore.
Oh yeah, see, I can't.
So
I can't personally
I
that.
I drown.
I get chased quite a bit.
I almost drown at least a couple times a month in my dreams, and then I just make myself breathe underwater.
That's pretty cool.
I
I wish
don't-
I could do that.
I don't want the dream to be over, so then that's where the story ends, and then it plots me in a new dream. So I don't
Yeah,
like to die.
Well, I was gonna say I have read that you can't die in your dreams because it's basically like how the Matrix works. If you die in your
Not if
dreams,
I'm there, bitch.
if you die in your dreams, you die in real life because you don't know
you
what.
die in the game, you die in real life.
Yeah, because you can't experience death until you're dead, so you don't know what it's like to be dead in a dream. Because if you die in a dream, then you can't be dead. It's this whole weird thing. It's essentially a paradox. Like you can't be dead in a dream because you don't know what death is like. But then again, if your dream just stops, wouldn't that be kind of what death would be like?
Intro to Black.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last nightmare I had was, and I don't have them often at all. Maybe once or twice a year. I don't have nightmares very often at all. It's the one that I consider a nightmare I actually had a couple weeks ago, and I did not like it at all. So I work at a hospital, and God damn it, my fucking phone. Leave me alone.
I mean, no one knows that it's happening until you say it. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Sorry. Well, everyone was looking around the last time I did it, so.
because
Okay.
it was vibrating.
All right, so I work in a hospital, and I had a dream where basically I fell asleep in the car after I turned it on, and I guess I had carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh.
I guess I was so exhausted and like that happened. I had no idea why. And then I woke up like a day later in the hospital on the floor that I work on. I was
Oh,
like,
weird.
oh no, and everybody was convinced, including like the doctors and like my family, everybody was convinced that I tried to kill myself. And I was like, no, I am not suicidal like at all. Like I'm just an idiot. That's what happened. Let's be real for a second. But then they started like hooking me up with psych meds and like all this crazy shit, and then I look even more crazy because I'm a crazy guy not taking his
Yeah,
meds.
yeah.
And
He
it
keeps
was
telling
just-
us he's not crazy.
it was just terrible, and I woke up like really pissed off, like really, really fucking mad that I had to go to that point.
I hate waking up when I'm pissed off from dreams. Like, there's been a couple times where I've just woken up mad for whatever reason. I'm just like, like, why do I have to wake up feeling like this?
Yeah, it was pretty terrible, and it felt very real, because
Mhm.
most of my dreams are fucking vivid, but usually like the vivid dreams that I have that people would consider like nightmares is like natural disasters and shit. But I have a fear that I'm gonna die, but then I don't. So
Oh, right.
I don't classify them as nightmares anymore because they're more fun and kind of cool.
Yeah, like you could turn it into like 2012. Like, you're
Yeah,
escaping from
like
all that
the
stuff.
last kind of dream I had like that was I was at an airport and the fucking huge ass tsunami hit, and I was just running through corridors while the water was chasing me.
Whoa.
It was intense.
That's crazy.
And I had it 3 times. So
Yeah, because most of the nightmares I tend to have are like people chasing me for whatever reason.
Ooh,
So
yeah, I've had that.
yeah, and then there's one that I've had twice, and it was like, I guess, for lack of a better term, a sequel to a nightmare, because it was, dude, it was weird. It was when I was living in my old apartment, and I fell asleep on the couch, and then I woke up, and the way my apartment was laid out, so if you walk in the front door and you turn to the left, you walk through the bathroom straight ahead from the front door. And then as you walk left, there's the kitchen, then the living room, and to the right was my bedroom. So I fell asleep on the couch in the living room, and at either end of the apartment, since it was like a big rectangle, there was a window, and then the sliding glass door was next to the window in the living room. So my couch was basically right next to that window. I fell asleep, and as I was waking up, I see somebody standing outside my window because my blinds are open. And I forget what he said. I think he just said something like, "I finally found you," or something of that nature. And then he points a shotgun at me and
Ooh.
starts shooting.
Oh
and,
shit.
and I thought that, like, at the time, obviously, while I'm dreaming, I thought this was as real as possible, and I'm getting shot at. And I think he hit me, obviously, because I was barely awake. But I managed to stumble to my bedroom, and I was trying to hide from him, but he couldn't get in. And then I woke up freaking out. And then, like, a month later, I sleep again and had basically the same dream. Like, he was standing outside the window, and he was like, "I'm back for you," or something. And I was like, "What the
Oh,
hell, dude?"
damn.
Like, yeah, it freaked me out. And so, like, that was one of those things. I think maybe I was just, I don't know, maybe in the back of my mind I was thinking about like living alone or something, or maybe I'd watched a movie about an apartment getting broken into. Who knows what spawned that.
Man.
But for some reason I had that nightmare twice, and I don't even know who this person was that was like hunting me or trying to kill me or whatever, but I definitely remember running. But there's more than a number of times that typically my nightmares have me running from somebody who's trying to kill me, like a slasher flick, but it's more real than that. It's like maybe an angry biker from a bar, or it's like, or it's like, maybe one of my friends like went crazy or something, it's just something weird where somebody's trying to hurt me for whatever reason, and I'm just trying to get away from them because I don't know what's going on. Yeah, because I don't really have too much like monster dreams or anything weird like that anymore.
man.
Like horror movies don't scare me anymore like they used to when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I don't really get scared. I guess aliens are the only other thing that freak me out, but we got a whole
Really?
nother topic
Ooh,
about
well,
that. Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
visit that another time.
Yeah, we'll get to the aliens eventually, but I have a whole reason why I don't like aliens.
So how are we on time right now, Ryan?
We still got like 20 minutes.
Oh, perfect. I have lots more to talk about.
Well, and
So-
I was going to ask you guys if you guys have ever seen the movie Waking Life. Have you?
No.
Oh, so you especially would probably like that because it's basically a movie about lucid dreaming. What are dreams? Like, what is reality? And they talk about like how in dreams you can't really read numbers and like turn on lights and stuff like that because it doesn't work the same, I guess, like from what studies people have done. But who knows? This could be different because this movie came out in like '97. But it's not rotoscoped, but it's similar to that. It's like that movie A Scanner Darkly with Keanu Reeves where they have real actors in the movie and then they trace over it with like animation. So the movie's like you're watching a dream and they have different animation styles for each vignette. And
wow.
yeah, and it's like you're watching a dream while they're talking about dreams and reality and stuff. It's a trip. Like it's a pretty good movie though. You should check it out if you try to do lucid dreaming and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't tried to do the lucid dreaming in a while, mainly because I just like all this. I like seeing where all my stories go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had this one that I would get once a year around the same time every year. It was insane. I had it like 3 or 4 years in a row, and I haven't had it again since. Basically, I would have, it would start off, and it would be night, and I would, like, my house, and it would just, like, pan out, like, kind of like zoom out, like if you think of a viewpoint from, like, space, think of it like a satellite image going down to my house, and then, like, zoomed all the way out, and then there was, like, this projection of, like, a brain. I guess it might have been my brain. I don't know. It looked very generic.
Mother brain.
And then it kind of like went into light speed, kind of like Star Wars style.
Oh,
or
yeah.
hyperdrive. Just kind of jump, and then I showed up in like this.
That's not Star Wars.
I know. I was thinking of the Doctor Who from the
yeah,
Family Guy thing or whatever. Yeah, because they make. Oh, I was always wondering what hyperspace looked like.
Oh yeah, because then okay, I got it.
So I ended up then seeing myself like visualize into like this teleportation bay,
Oh.
which is insane. I don't know. Yeah, it was crazy. And then I was myself, and then I was seeing my viewpoint, and then walking around, and they were getting prepared for like some crazy thing. Now, what I see is like I'm in like I don't know how to. It's almost like a space station. And I'm kind of walking around. I'm seeing all kinds of different like creatures and stuff like that, just intelligent life forms and stuff that are like super made up. And I'm just walking around. Everybody knows me, and it's very weird. And I'm just like walking around. They're like, "Oh, he's back! He's back!" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And they're like,
Yeah, I'm back.
"Oh, thank God." We need you for, this one thing. We need your help setting up this one thing. And I ended up I had like some key or whatever to get into like this weapon locker, or like I was some sort of, I don't know, like I was some sort of champion or whatever. And I had to get into like this room that had all of my equipment in it that only certain people can wield. So it was kind of like a...
Sounds like an RPG or something.
Yeah, kind
It's
of
like a cross between Men in Black and Mass Effect.
Yeah, and it's also kind of. I also thought of it more as like I was almost like a reincarnated hero, kind of like the Legend of Zelda too. You know how it's multiple.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Link and Zelda always reincarnate.
Yeah, so
throughout
it's. But they end up using around the same equipment, so it's.
Yeah.
Basically, what this equipment ended up being was a tool to use the human imagination to form that into a weapon, and you can. It's almost like Green Lantern.
Darkest day is
cool.
darkest night.
Yeah, it's almost like Green Lantern's power, where he just like thinks of what he needs and just does it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had like all these fictional weapons, like Thor's hammer and like all this shit. I could transform my arm, basically would just put that energy from my mind, I guess, into like this ball, and then it would just materialize into my hand, and I just use it, and it was fucking sweet. Now, cool thing about this is the next time I had the dream, that's when the war started.
Oh,
and it's like pretty crazy.
Previously
was-
on Ashton's Dream.
they're like the human's back, the human's back. Yo, where you been? It's been forever. I'm like, yeah, don't know your name, whatever. Like,
it's nice to know that the street lingo has gone up into space there. You were like, "Yo, the human's back!" Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
just
know.
funny how it was.
I mean, they knew me pretty well, so maybe that's how I talk.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that's just my mind.
My name is
But
Ashen Stom, and I think that this vendor is the best one on the Citadel. That's a Mass Effect joke.
oh,
Anyway.
okay. But yeah, I ended up fighting on fuck, what is it called? Where does that bridge that's in Thor?
Oh, Bifrost.
Yeah. So I ended up fighting on that fucking awesome rainbow looking bridge.
Yeah.
And that was tight.
Heimdall, open the Bifrost.
But yeah, I went through like quite a few battles, and then I haven't had a dream like that in a couple of years. But I like having those reoccurring kind of like continuance of the dreams.
That's kind of like the real version of Imagination Land, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Dude, that's the one episode of South Park I've never seen.
What?
It's never on. They don't allow it on Hulu. They've never had it on Netflix. They've not had it on anything. You have to actually like buy that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it's a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
A couple episodes. Right?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
three-parter.
Yeah, I
it's
think
three.
they made it just a movie so that you guys you
Like
can
what
buy
they
it
did
by
with the
itself.
Stewie Griffin story or whatever, where it was like a 3-part mini-series, and then they turned it into a movie that you could buy.
What?
The Stewie Griffin story on Family Guy. It was like a 3-part mini-series of him, and I think how he was conceived, and he went back in time and stuff. There was a whole thing. I've got it on DVD in my collection. I don't even remember what it was about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, here, I'm gonna look it up real quick actually, because I don't even remember.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm never. I guess like as far as it comes down to dreams, like, I have more of like emotional dreams. Like, you know, everyone's had the, oh, you dream about the person that you always would fall in love with kind of thing, or
Oh, yeah.
you dream about the sad moments of like maybe a lost family member or someone that you don't have contact with. Like, I remember having like some pretty sad dreams when my dad was living in Idaho and I was living, you know, in Washington, and I'd only get to see him like once every summer, or not once, but once a summer. Like, you know, no, that's not worded either. Every summer I'd go visit. There we go. that's kind of how it worked. But I remember having dreams like that. Like, you know, there was the I would be in, like, I remember one specifically, not when you guys were talking about like kind of like, I don't know, not really nightmarish. It's not really nightmare, but more towards like an emotional driven one, is like when I was sitting in a classroom and like everyone was getting like to visit their dads and whatnot, but like I didn't have my dad there. So like I remember waking up and like this is when I was like maybe like 6, and I'd wake up and I was like crying, and I
Oh,
couldn't.
man.
I had to go. I like went into my mom's room and like woke her up, and I was like, she had to calm me down kind of thing. So like I remember like emotional dreams, or when like my grandma passed away or when my grandpa passed away, like those things kind of spur off of, you know, more of like emotional driven type of things. So that's kind of where like, so it's like, I guess like my dreams kind of revolve around like family and friends. Like I really don't, celebrities will feature in there, I guess, but like
Yeah.
they kind of like step in and out and kind of never again, but like more of like family and friends kind of fall into mine sort of deal.
That's cool.
And more realistic. Like I don't really go too far out unless it's going into more of those like movie type ideas. Then that's kind of where it.
Yeah, I
Let's
mean, I've had a couple like more like dreams that kind of surround my life. I kind of like my dreams to be away from my actual life because I don't want to think about the fucking disaster my life is right now. But, you know,
Well,
I don't have a career off the ground. Life is full of problems, and that's, you know, I don't want to bring that to when I'm sleeping too. So it's, you know, there have been times where like this one time I had this dream that I had for 2 days straight, and it was fucking awful. It was excruciating. I had a family member in the hospital, and we were trying to figure out whether or not they were gonna be alive within the next, you know, few days. And this was when I was in high school, and I was. If you guys have ever played Super Mario 64,
of course.
I mean, who hasn't? But just for those of you who haven't, there is a door that you have to get through after you progress, get so many stars. We're getting like this clock room.
Oh, I love the clock level.
Yeah, so the clock room, like the whole atrium there.
Mhm.
I took basically a version of that, and it was just all blue, kind of like the hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball Z with a big ass clock instead of
Oh, okay.
the station. So it was that, but it was just blue everywhere, and you just watch it tick and tick and tick away. And I was there literally for, I could account for every fucking hour that I was sleeping. I was living real fucking time in the
Oh,
dream,
that's terrible.
waiting it out, thinking like, what the fuck is gonna happen. And the second time I had it, I was freaking the fuck out because this is before I even knew how to like
Yeah.
get rid of a dream and like wake up. I couldn't even wake myself up. So I had it the second time in a row. This time I was just fucking screaming and fucking crying. It was terrible. It was probably one of the worst dreams I've had. And it's having to be awake the entire time you're
Yeah.
asleep was basically how I felt. And I was drained like every time I woke up too, because I didn't feel like I got adequate sleep because in my mind I've already been awake,
Right.
but I did get to sleep. So it was
But
pretty
your mind
intense.
was still stressed out.
Yeah, I guess it was a very weird experience, and I did not enjoy it one bit.
Yeah, because I've read that, like, according to doctors or whatever, that essentially dreams are basically like the garbage disposal of your brain. It takes all the useless information or the information that it wants to compartmentalize or change or make you feel a certain way about, and then it rearranges that all to make more sense in your mind. Like, because of course there's always that example where, if, like, say you're playing a video game and you're playing and you're playing and you're playing and you cannot beat a level for the life of you, and then you go to sleep and wake up the next day and you play it, you immediately beat it because your brain overnight, even if you don't remember, even if you dream, don't dream, whatever, your brain overnight has been like working through that issue. And so essentially your dreams are a more vivid version of that. Like, you know, when it comes to family, especially if you got somebody in a hospital or something like that, it's like your brain's trying to comprehend how to deal with that. And so by dreaming about it, it kind of helps you mitigate it, or like helps you kind of cope with whatever that fact is. And then if you can control your dreams, you know, that's just one more step towards the like right direction, because then you can kind of control how you feel about something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a good handle on your own psyche, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just your mind's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
And that's basically like the thing to take away from this podcast is that your mind can do a lot more than you let it on.
Yeah, your
you know?
brain's the only thing that named itself.
That's so true. Oh my god, I didn't even think about that until just now. Holy shit, mind blown. Oh my god.
Oops.
Learn something new every day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So have you guys here? I'm just gonna rapid fire some of these things because we still got a little bit of time to fill.
That's fine.
Have you guys ever woken up? You said you woke up angry before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember like why you woke up angry, or you just
mine's
Oh.
usually a girl problem. Usually
Okay.
it's when I'm at
Speaking
on
of
like
girl problems,
on a
have you?
date or if like me and a girl get a like girlfriend or something at the time, I might be
Yeah.
dreaming about her. We get into a fight or something. Usually that was always the case for me. And more than likely it stemmed from us having problems in the real life, and then I go to bed angry or something, or I go to bed like
Go to
thinking
bed angry,
about
wake
it.
up angry kind of
Yeah,
thing?
it's
Okay.
usually something like that. I don't usually go to bed and then just wake up angry for no reason, or if I dream, I'm usually not angry in the dream per se, unless it's something that's like particularly focused.
For
like
me,
that.
if it's like a dream about something shitty that I'm trying to work through in real life, I will wake up angry.
Yeah,
And
that's-
I will know why I'm angry. So it's I'll just rehash it.
I know a lot of girls do that. They'll wake up, they'll be like, "You cheated on me in your dreams. Like, why are
Yeah.
you mad?
Why
at
are you
me?"
saying that? What, you so Mr. Perfect? No, it was in your dreams.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Oh man, what's the next one?
What about, have you ever dreamed about love?
Love
Oh.
in like what?
Not like
a
fucking,
sex
but
dream?
like
Oh.
and love
Oh.
in general, like a crush
Well-
maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd
I've
say I have.
daydreamed about that too. I mean, everybody does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I actually had a dream about this girl that I'm chatting with right now.
Oh.
Like, well,
Hey,
because-
hey,
yeah, 'cause,
hey.
I mean, we were, you know, we were seeing each other before, but like, you know, we just recently started talking again, and it
Mhm.
was just really weird. Like, I had a dream about her the other night, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been there. I've definitely been there.
Yeah. It's nice.
What about, you ever woken up very sad?
Oh yeah.
Sad.
I already gave my example of sadness. That was the worst. I've never woken up crying ever, except for that one time.
I think I've only
I might have.
done that once or
Nothing.
twice.
Nothing I can remember particularly, but I'm sure there's been a time or two that I've been sad.
Me, it was more towards my raging hormones during like the puberty years.
Okay. Why do I have this boner?
No, I was always happy with that when I woke up. I was like, yeah, I'm a man. But it was more like,
Morning
That's
wood
not
is
usually what
good.
I think about, but yeah.
no, man.
God bless America.
That's when you go look at
The
the
flagpole is out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all just hanging off.
Hold on, I gotta raise the flag.
Good thing I'm wearing my American flag boxers.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck you.
Oh man.
But it's I guess like for me it was more like about girls that I wanted to be with. I got friend zoned a lot.
Oh yeah, I hear you
like
there.
a lot. Like I always tried to be. I was brought up to be the nice guy, because my mom basically raised us when my dad worked 2 full-time jobs. So I didn't get the this is how you get a bitch. No, this is how you find like a really good person that's
Yeah,
gonna be with you forever.
I had that issue
And
too.
I got friend zoned a lot for that. And being the nice guy does not get you what you want. It just makes them feel better. But I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But to
So
me, at the
let's
time
see.
it
We've
was.
talked about. Have you ever woken up like laughing?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I've done that
Yeah.
a couple times.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, I'll be thinking of. Oh, dude, I don't. Okay, I can't go into specific details because I don't really remember it. But I remember one time I just busted out laughing. It was, imagine Drake and Josh,
Oh, yes.
but
sure.
it was Jameson and I.
Oh.
And we were just, I don't know why this had me. There were just a lot of off the cuff. I made Jameson way funnier than he actually is, I feel. But like,
Probably.
we were just off the cuff all the time. It was just this one time, and I don't really remember a lot of it. I just remember it involved him and I, and we were just doing really stupid stuff. And then I woke up just smiling and laughing, going, I was like, am I laughing? And then that was pretty much it.
I know there's been a number of times that my family has told me I've been talking or like.
Jameson is my brother.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people know that. I just want to make that perfectly clear. I wasn't just dreaming
yeah.
about Jameson.
Yeah.
Some weird person. Anyway.
My night.
Yeah. But yeah, my parents and my siblings have told me a number of times that I talk through my sleep sometimes, and so like
I wonder
I'll
if I
just-
do that. That's always
I do
something
sometimes.
always
Yeah, and it's like you
think
just be
everyone
sitting
does
there
it once.
sleeping, and all of a sudden, I ain't got no black powder. Ah, you know, and it's just like all of a
No,
sudden, you know,
Mrs. Buttersworth, I won't butter your biscuits.
Yeah, you know, it's just you're just talking nonsense. You don't even realize what you're saying, and then they wake you up and they're like, "You were saying some weird stuff." Like, how am
That's
I
not where that
supposed to
stick
know?
goes.
Oh, Mr. Beauregard, flowers for me. You are my hero.
Oh, man.
So, Josh, you know who Mr. Beauregard is? No,
Man.
I don't know anybody like that.
The one time I did laugh, one time that I did laugh when I woke up was when I had this dream where everybody was just like something
Fully
went-
naked, it's an orgy.
Yeah,
I've had that, but that's not this.
yeah. I was
Oh
gonna
my
say,
God.
I've had a handful of those dreams too myself.
I'm sure you've had a handful of something in that.
I purposely tried to go into those dreams when I was young.
You're like trying to get in the door. Let me
Yeah.
go in here.
Between the ages of 12 and 15, every night I was like, please dream about sex. Please
Oh,
dream about
man.
sex.
I had so basically this dream was about something that went up in the air that like cut down
Boing, 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 boing.
people's brain cells by like a lot, so it made everyone like at like a split moment made everyone like really stupid.
Oh,
So I had like this guy who was like these cyclists were going on like the sidewalk or whatever, and they were talking, having a conversation, and then all of a sudden they just started making like really unintelligible sounds, and like one like fucking ran in the mailbox and like flipped over the side, and like another one went through someone's window. Like,
Okay.
It was like really fucked up. And then I don't know, there was like a lot of other shit that happened. They were playing, some kids were playing baseball, and one just like fucking threw it at one of like the fucking like first baseman, like nailed him in the face.
Oh my god.
And then some kid had like a fucking like grabbed a golf club and just like fucking started trying hitting cats with it or some shit. I don't know. It was like really fucked up and weird. And then I got hit in the head with a golf ball and like rolled down a hill and then shat my pants. And then I woke up laughing really fucking hard.
Yeah, because he shat his pants. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys want to listen to more, make sure you definitely subscribe to us here on wherever you're watching this. If you want the audio versions, go check it out on iTunes, and for Android listeners, Podbean. And also, you can go check out the video version over on YouTube. You can just subscribe there and get the video version, and then you can just put it on the background while you sleep. And you can imagine this whole conversation happening.
Yeah.
Because we're in space right now.
You are dreaming of a great future.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you will be magnificent.
comment section below is open to you if you guys want us to talk about
You
anything.
will comment.
And you have a topic you want us to talk about for one whole hour, put it in the comment section
You will
below.
suggest a topic.
And we will see you guys. My name was Ryan. That was
Josh.
And that was
Ashton.
And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Good night, everybody.
Laters.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.